sassy men are destroying the world. These boys are asking for princess treatment, and they're trying to be little spoons. Well, women don't like that. They want to be cuddled and have their emotional needs met and their boundaries respected. Where are the real men? That's the good stuff right there. What is sassy? The definition of sassy is lively, bold, cheeky, and full of spirit. Now, how do we define man? And the answer is this image right here. Perfectly encompasses what it means to be man. Boring definitions aside, how are we using the word sassy man in today's lexicon? After consuming an unhealthy amount of content about this word, this term, this quote-unquote apocalypse, I've been able to categorize the two different ways people use the word sassy man. But before we get into that, I would like to first talk about sassy as used to describe colored women, specifically black women. Sassy is a term that has long been used in order to minimize the anger and emotions of colored women, specifically black women. For Latina women, there was the words feisty or spicy. It's an easy way to compartmentalize and package the actual cruelties and injustices that colored women have to face and put it in a more digestible manner. You don't actually ever have to listen to colored women. You could just laugh and say, "Oh, bah, you're so sick." I love it. I am not the creator to talk about this. Go check out these 4 or 5 videos I'm probably putting on the screen right now, but I needed to bring it up because it ties in with the rest of this video. Now we can start actually getting into the first definition of a sassy man. Numero uno is a man who is generally more in touch with their feminine side. Maybe sometimes they like to be little spoon, or sometimes maybe they get emotional and need to cry their feelings out, or God forbid, have a basic, well-rounded skincare routine and actually apply sunscreen every day because the sun's a giant death bomb that's gonna explode and gonna age you at the speed of light. They're more expressive. Definitely not the stoic man, bear wrestling, bro, alpha, protein, Ford truck driving man that traditionalists are just so hard for. You might have seen this guy on TikTok proudly describe himself as a sassy man. In fact, he's become the face of this entire conversation. He has over 5 million followers on TikTok and has been on multiple news outlets. And honestly, most of his content is just him being goofy and silly and joking around, and a lot of people took offense to that for some reason. From what I have seen and concluded, this sassy thing can go anywhere. Can go anywhere from girlfriends slightly teasing their boyfriends about maybe more effeminate traits of them, to straight up people trying to demasculinize men for having like basic emotional needs and actually asking for help. And we wonder why the male suicide rate is so high. It's kind of reminiscent of this whole like soy boy thing, if you remember that, except when it came to soy boys, it was more men putting other men down for not having like this physical Chad physique, and it was very more focused on like the physicality of what an alpha man looks like, and there was a lot more like incel culture within that. While the term sassy boy has been used more by women towards men. Not only women, but from what the content I've seen, it's been a lot more women describing men as sassy than I see men describing other men as sassy. Usually they will describe them as soy or soft or beta. An example of this would be the entire Keith Lee situation, which, if you're not caught up to date, Keith Lee is a food reviewer who has become a very prominent figure in the food scene. You know, he'll like speak in a deadpan face in a very monotone tone and be like, "Today I'm gonna try your mama's." Rating 5 out of 10. There was this site called Shade Room who had made a post about a TikTok that Keith Lee had posted on his page where he was crying. He was getting ready for the BET Awards and he was crying on camera. He felt very blessed and grateful to be where he was in his career, and also his wife was looking very beautiful and he was just admiring how beautiful she was. He also went to further elaborate on a later TikTok that he was just very happy with all the success and very grateful and how hard it was for him to get there, and how like 2 years beforehand they were really struggling financially, and how he was just so happy to be in a better place, and how he worked so hard to get where he is. And people were dragging him down about it because he was crying. I mean, just look at some of these comments of people just being horrible. I don't know what moves a person to be so angry over someone else's joy. If you want to know more about that situation, I will leave some links to some creators who further cover that. Version 2. This is the second group of people I've seen using the word sassy man, and that is women who generally just have shitty experiences with men, and so go towards using the word sassy in order to demasculinize and make fun of men who they've had horrible experiences with. I don't think sassy is the correct term to describe men who leave you on red, or ask you to send them money, or don't pick up after themselves. Call them broke, call them a bum, call them a lazy piece of shit, but that doesn't make them sassy. Call them misogynist or a little bitch boy if you please. But when we call any man we don't like sassy or sus, we are indirectly hurting the queer and femme communities. We are saying that these feminine behaviors are bad and are things that need to be corrected. Homophobic undertones. Sassy, sissy, effeminate. The public's general fear of femininity is raging within this discourse. What's wrong with behaving in a quote-unquote more feminine way? Why are we associating emotional IQ with femininity? I have seen online how some people are saying it's not really homophobic, it's more misogynistic, but two things can coexist and be true at the same time, hun. For those of you who don't know, I am of the trans sort, and this whole thing seems extremely cis to me. I know I'm making a whole video essay about this, but in the end, this overlooming thought stays in my head that cis people are so trapped in their gender that they are actively finding ways to hurt themselves if they do not perform it correctly. And finding ways to hurt each other, to hold up this whole thing that doesn't actually even exist. Say with me now, kids. Why is that? Because gender is a social construct. Healing is not a straight path. It involves a lot of setbacks, and this feels like one of those situations. Or maybe I'm just blowing this whole thing out of proportion. Maybe my dad was right and I should have gone to trade school, but I'm too busy crying about how I can't keep a job for longer than 6 months without quitting and punching holes in my face in order to cope. No, I don't think I'm blowing this out of proportion. I do honestly believe that this is a sign of growth for all of society. We couldn't have had this discussion about sassy men if men weren't as a whole generally becoming more in touch with their emotions. Men are now collectively being able to shed the gender roles that was placed with them under the patriarchy. I think for a lot more of these conservative forces online, it's terrifying because it forces them to look inwards and ask themselves hard questions like, maybe I should buy moisturizer. Side note to anyone attracted to men, it's so great that men are becoming more emotionally intelligent, but that is not mean he's perfect. Emotional intelligence this is the bar if that's all you need. Like, stand up girl, just because he crochets and opened up to you about his mommy issues doesn't mean he can't be a cheating asshole. Under the patriarchy, we all suffer. Do we actually want men who clicked on the link for better help? Or will these types of men be the fall of society? Society. This is just an assumption, but I'm gonna go ahead and assume that most people who are attracted to men generally don't want to have to train them to be a decent human being. Has the vast of discussions in hetero relationships not for the longest been how women are tired of men not being able to communicate or open up about their feelings? There's so many jokes about that throughout all the media, like, oh, man is stoic, he doesn't love wife because he never talk emotion. So sad, he never say I love you. Wife does not feel love because man cannot love. Man is monkey brain sex beer chugging. And you know what, maybe you are the lady who prefers a stoic man, bear wrestling bro, alpha protein Ford truck driving man. And that's okay. If a traditionalist provider type man is what tickles your pickles, well then get your pickle tickled consensually. But there is no reason to shame other men for how they choose to live their lives. Women shouldn't be the ones perpetuating toxic masculinity behaviors. God damn it, y'all did it. Y'all got me defending men. I don't know how y'all feel about this sudden outfit change or this video, but comment. I honestly need more people to share their point of view so that I personally can broaden my perspective on this whole situation. Maybe you see something in this that I don't, or maybe something I said in this video had struck a chord with you. That's all I got. The next video is gonna be on the history of trans men, or rather, the lack thereof. Or maybe I'll play a stupid funny little otome game to fill this empty void within me. I don't know, I'm broken being crushed underneath the weight of capitalism and you're watching Disney Channel. Later, stranger.